Hi, boys and girls. As we read today's story in Oak Tree Has a Life Cycle, we are going to make connections to words that we hear from the text. And when we make connections, we think about how those words relate to us or what they mean to us or other things we think of. Okay, so here's the story in Oak Tree Has a Life Cycle. Introduction. All plants have a life cycle or an order in which they change and grow. During the life cycle, a plant grows the parts it needs to stay alive and to make new plants. Oak trees have a life cycle. Fully grown oak trees can make new trees. When I hear the word life cycle, I make a connection to my own growth and how I was born as a baby and then how I grew up to become an adult. So when you hear the word life cycle, it might remind you of your life and how you've grown bigger and stronger. A new oak tree begins. At first, a fully grown oak tree drops seeds. These seeds are acorns. Animals will eat most of the acorns, but a few acorns will become new oak trees. When I see the picture of the acorn, it reminds me of the fall because that's when I see them on the ground. And also when I see the squirrel, I think about all the squirrels that run up and down the trees in my neighborhood and how fast and cute they are. A new oak tree grows. A few months after the acorn falls, roots begin to grow. The roots grow into the ground. Next, a stem grows from the acorn. Leaves grow from the stem during the first year. Now the oak tree is a sapling. So as I look at the pictures and hear the words roots, I think of something strong holding that seed into the ground. When I see the word stem, I think of a straw. Like when I'm drinking a drink and I suck the drink through the straw, it's the same thing as the stem. And that the word stem kind of just reminds me of a straw when I see the picture. Slowly, the oak tree becomes larger. At last, the stem becomes a thick, strong trunk. Flowers grow on the oak tree, and then the flowers become acorns. What will happen to these acorns? So I see the oak tree flower, the baby acorns, and then the stem, and then that strong trunk. And when I hear the word trunk, I think of an elephant's nose, which is strong. They do a lot of things with their nose. And I also think of how strong a trunk of a tree has to be to hold it in the ground. An old oak tree dies. After dropping acorns for many years, the oak tree finally dies. An oak tree can live for hundreds of years. Can you see oak trees where you live? So when I see the pictures of the tree, and it reminds me of sometimes I see a lot of dead trees in the woods and they fall over when it's really windy. And then you can see a lot of new plants growing. So just the word oak tree kind of reminds me of all the trees in our neighborhood near our school and near where we live. Conclusion. An oak tree is a plant that changes and grows. An oak tree is a life cycle. And I hear the word life cycle again. I'm reminded that all living things have a life cycle. So for your assignment today, you're going to think of a word such as squirrels, saplings, large tree, old dead trees, and just make a connection to one of those words and write a sentence about the connection you have with that word and then draw your picture. For example, I chose a squirrel because I always see them in my yard and they run fast up trees and they gather acorns. They are fun to watch. You could also think of the word sapling, which is a young tree. When you think of your baby sister or brother, it could remind you of a sapling. All right, so for your assignment, again, think of one of these words: large tree, sapling, acorn, squirrels, old dead trees. Draw the picture and then write a sentence about that word and the connection that you have to it.